Hello. Sorry for the delay. I had to rearrange my kitchen so that I could get the eggs from the pot off of the countertop. But we should be good now. If you're new here, my name is Ashley. I have the website for Big Flavors from a Tiny Kitchen. It's bigflavorstinyKitchen.com. You can find me online on social media at Big Flavors, Twitter at Big Flavors blog, and hi, Jennifer. I'm going to show you one of my favorite kind of interesting spins on deviled eggs today that you could make, well, really anytime, but I thought it'd be nice for like Mother's Day is coming up. Hi from Amy and the nieces. Hello. Hi, Eleanor. So I went ahead and hard cooked a dozen eggs so that you wouldn't have to wait for that, and that's why I was a little late. I didn't want you to have to hear my Instant Pot screaming at me. And I had to move it so I could make room. But I'm just going to go ahead and peel them. You can hard cook the eggs whatever like your favorite way is. I like doing it in the Instant Pot for 10 minutes on high pressure, and then I do a quick release of the pressure and turn this fan on. I do a quick release of the pressure and then put them in cold water just to kind of chill them down. Ooh, so it doesn't always mean that they're going to peel great. Example A, look at this. It is a hot mess. Oh, I'm glad you're looking forward to this. Yeah, it's I had made this originally for a sponsored post years ago, but I've made it a lot of times since. This egg is just a mess. Oh my gosh. I just bought these yesterday. All right, I'm going to leave this one. So you got one like that, and then this one that the shell already just like popped right off. So you never know. All the like tried and true methods for do this and the shells will peel off easily, I find that they're all they all work sometimes. So that one was nice and clean. So I just peel them and then I pop them back in the water until they're all peeled and rinse them one more time just to make sure no shells are stuck on there, because biting into a shell on a deviled egg is no fun. And then I'll pat them dry and put them in my deviled egg caddy. I've done my no mayo deviled eggs live before, and I'm pretty sure I showed you the two containers that I have for today also, but one is my grandma's Tupperware from, gosh, probably the 70s? I don't know. I think it's older than me. And it's a fun one for if you're bringing the eggs on the go. That's how mine always look when I peel them anyway. Yeah, sometimes you just have one of those days. Like the rest of them have been fine, and it was the same batch of eggs. So what I would do if I was doing them on the stovetop versus in a pressure cooker, I think you can also bake them, but I've never tried that, so I can't speak to how well it actually works. But if I was doing it on the stovetop, what I would do, how my grandma used to do it, is I'd put the eggs in the pan, cover it by at least a good inch or two with cold water, add in a little salt and a splash of white vinegar. My grandma said that helped keep the egg shells from sticking. Don't know if it did, but so, and then, okay, so then once it comes to a rolling boil, you kind of turn it down just so it's still boiling but doesn't boil over. And then, how did I do this? It's been a while since I did it. I guess when it comes to a full rolling boil, then I close the lid, turn the heat off, and let it sit for at least 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure that's how I did it. It's been a while since I got the Instant Pot. I don't really bother cooking them on the stovetop anymore, but I'm pretty sure that's how I did it. I could probably look back for one of my old posts to double check that if anybody needs. So I like kind of to tap it and then roll it lightly, and that just kind of crackles all over on the egg, and it seems to make them easier to peel. For me, I don't know. Again, I feel like it's kind of inconsistent, but so the thing that makes these kind of French-ish is I add a little Dijon mustard in addition to yellow mustard, and I put some cornichons, which I realized I'm very low on, so I might not even technically have enough for this, but they're these little French pickles. They're really good. They're cute. They look great for garnishes. And I also add some fresh tarragon And then the last time when I made these for the post, I had pea shoots from a local farm that I used for garnish. Today I have watercress. Just any kind of pretty, really little green is nice. Because I think that with deviled eggs, it's really all about the garnish. You can go straight up just paprika, and that's great. But if you throw a fun garnish on, it just kind of makes them look a little more special, and especially if it's for a holiday or some sort of fancy party. And I like to kind of vary the garnishes. So some of them I'll put like all of the garnishes that I have on. Like I have some radishes. I'm going to do some thin sliced radishes. Some of them I'll just put one of the things. Some of them I'll put all of the things. Just kind of vary because, you know, like not everybody likes pickles or not everybody likes radishes. So I kind of like to give people options. All right, I think this is the last one other than that really, really ragged looking one. A lot of people say that steam boiling them makes them, steam cooking them in a pressure cooker makes them easier to peel. Hi, Rich. But like I said, sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Just gonna, let's see, ditch this. Oh, I had some of you ask about this one after one of my last videos. It's a bench scraper that has sides, and I hadn't been able to find it on Amazon again, but I found it, so I put it on my shop page if you want it. I like it because it'll hold the stuff in on the edges. A lot of them are just flat. Hi, Sherry. So a lot of them are just flat, and so you scoop and then stuff falls off the edges while you're transporting it. And that's no fun. So I did track this down. I put a link to the shop page up in the description, and if you buy something through one of my links, it costs you the same amount, but I get like 2 cents or something like that. But it adds up and it's nice, and I have a coffee habit, so. Okay, so I've got 11 of my 12 eggs peeled. For those of you who just joined, this one is just awful. I don't think, maybe I'll pull the yolk out of it at least so that I can blend it with everything else, but it was just looking kind of sad. So this is my grandma's deviled egg Tupperware that I was telling you about. I like it because it's keeps them covered, and so nothing smashes them. You can store it in the fridge. But this only holds 8 full eggs, so 16 halves. So I use this whenever I'm taking them to go somewhere. I have one like this. This is a Le Creuset. It comes in a whole bunch of colors. Hi, Nicole. I just boiled a bunch of eggs this morning. Maybe I should make these. Yes, you should. And if you don't have all the stuff to make them, you might have all the stuff to make my regular deviled egg recipe or my no mayo deviled egg recipe. Let me know if you need links. All right. So just kind of rinse these off. They're all peeled now. And I just kind of blot them dry with a towel. I use large eggs. I feel like old recipes never, like from when my grandma used to make these, I didn't know there was large eggs or medium eggs, and I feel like it didn't seem to make much of a difference back then, but now I kind of default to large eggs when I'm using them. You can also hard cook eggs ahead of time. You can leave them in the shell, or you can peel them, but then your fridge will kind of smell like sulfur. Not that fun, but I do a lot of times I'll cook extra and I'll keep them in the fridge in a separate little container, because you can fit in your fridge in the door where the egg carton section is that has the little door that closes down. You can actually fit in most of them. I don't know if it's all fridges, but you can fit an 18 pack of eggs. That's what I usually buy because we go through a lot of eggs. And in the side, you can fit another 6 kind of sideways. So like I'll show you my little 6 thing I have. I had this from so I keep this little one that just holds 6. I keep this sideways next to the full 18. And usually I put the hard-boiled or soft-boiled eggs in that one. Oh, you can actually see kind of some of my refrigerator from here. This kitchen, legit very small. But Okay, so I have my eggs dried off. Then I'm just going to take a sharp knife and slice them all in half. And look, they're perfect on the inside. So that was 10 minutes on high pressure on my Instant Pot, or like I said, you can do it on the stovetop. And I'm just going to pop the eggs, the yolks, as I cut them. I'm going to pop them into my food processor. You can totally do this by hand, mash it up with a fork. If you're doing that, I would probably recommend smashing just the yolks first to get them nice and fine, especially if you're going to pipe them, and that makes them look a little more elegant. You can totally spoon them, but if you're going to pipe them, if you have any chunks of egg yolk, it'll get stuck in your piping. What do you want to call it? I have this little like squeezy thing with piping tips. So like this one's got, I like using the star tip. And if you have big chunks of yolk, sometimes it'll get stuck in there and then you have to use a tool. I like using a chopstick to kind of unstick it, but it can slow you down and make it frustrating. And if you, so let's see, if you clean this off, if you push down and then kind of pinch the egg while you slide out the knife, you won't get all the egg yolk stuck on the edges, because sometimes you'll get the egg yolk and then it'll just start kind of collecting on the outside as you're cutting. So that'll make it a little neater. And I'm making these for my friend. She's coming over tonight. So I'm going to close most of them up in this little container so that we can have them ready for later. I also have done like bacon jam in the base of a deviled egg. So like after the yolk comes out, I'll put a little spoonful of bacon jam underneath, and then I'll just do a standard deviled egg filling and put that on top. You can put like a little bit of bacon on top. That's really good. I know some people do them with guacamole, and I guess that would be very Cinco de Mayo appropriate, but I have not done that, so I can't speak to how good it is. But yeah, like all these eggs are consistently cooked, so I really like the Instant Pot for that. Are you guys cooking for Cinco de Mayo? Anybody? I shared my husband's version of guacamole yesterday on Facebook, and I mean, it's been on my site for a while now, but I'll be making that, and I have these sweet potato and black bean tacos with a cilantro chimichurri that I'm going to make that for dinner. I have another friend coming over for that. If you're into fajitas, I have a really good chicken fajita recipe, a really good steak fajita recipe. I've got a good, if you're trying to go for something a little lighter, I have a taco salad with a homemade chipotle ranch. That's really tasty. Okay, so once all the yolks are in here, just kind of do some here and some over here for now. You can set them, oh wait, I have this one. I have this one that peeled all weird. I'm just gonna, oh God, what a mess. It's like the weirdest egg I've ever seen. That was still good, because I've gotten a rotten egg before and it's really, really gross. All right, so I'm gonna move these to the side for now so we can use the food processor. And again, it just makes everything easier to incorporate if you use a food processor. I hadn't thought about cooking for Cinco de Mayo until now. Need recipes. Oh yeah, if you you can DM me if you want a link. Otherwise, if you search on my site, bigflavorstinyKitchen.com, if you search for fajitas, really good recipes. If you can spend a little extra time to let the onions caramelize in the iron skillet, it's way worth the wait. It's so good. All right, so got the egg yolks in here. And I'm just going to pulse it a little bit first to get these started. And again, in a bowl, I would just use a fork and mash it together. So to this, I'm going to add a quarter cup of plain Greek yogurt. If you only have regular yogurt, not Greek, you might want to add a little bit less because it's not as thick and you don't want to make the filling runny. So a quarter cup of the plain yogurt, and make sure it's plain, not vanilla, because sometimes the containers look really similar and you don't want vanilla in here. It's like the time my father-in-law once made, I had him pick up canned pumpkin for me for a pumpkin soup. It was like a curried pumpkin soup. And I didn't even think about it. I just used the can and I put it in the soup and we're eating, and my husband was like, how much sugar did you put in? I said, there's no sugar, there's just a little honey. And he's like, how much honey? And I was like a tablespoon in the whole batch? And he's like, no, this doesn't taste right. So we looked in the recycling bin and he had gotten pumpkin pie filling, not just pureed pumpkin. And there was like nutmeg and a lot of sugar, and it was really not good. So always, like, both of the cans look similar. So similar to Greek yogurt, like plain and vanilla, it looks similar. Just make sure you're paying attention. So a quarter cup of plain Greek yogurt, a tablespoon of white wine vinegar. When I do regular deviled eggs, I use regular white vinegar, but I like the white wine vinegar for making them kind of French. 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. Don't use the grainy kind here. That stuff is delicious, like the coarse ground mustard. You're just the regular kind of Dijon. I used the coarse stuff last night for this salmon recipe that I had bookmarked from Epicurious like years ago, and I'm glad I saved the recipe because they took it down for some reason. The link wasn't working, and it was so good. It was like salmon over lentils with leeks and this tarragon herb butter, or lemon mustard herb butter with tarragon and chives. 1 teaspoon of yellow mustard. So anyway, it was really, really good. So I use this app called Paprika to save recipes onto my computer so I can look at them later. But I like being able to reference the original post because sometimes people give, hints for how to make it better. Or just tips if there's things that can cause you a headache. Sorry. Okay. So we've got our mustards in there. We're going to do 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. And 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. Like the biggest bag of garlic powder. We use it a lot. Like if we get pizza takeout, there's a pizzeria across the street, and we also live by a Domino's, but my husband will put garlic powder and oregano on it, which is something that we didn't do growing up in the Midwest, but now out here, and red pepper flakes. I understand why he does it. 1/8 teaspoon of ground white pepper. So it's a little different than ground black pepper. It's mostly, this flavor is really nice in a lot of Asian dishes, and like if you're making a white gravy and you don't want flecks of black throughout. All right, and then, like I said, I think I might have just enough of these. 3 cornichons. They're these little pickles, and I like this brand has a little lifter. A couple brands have that, I guess, with incremental rests so you can drain it out of the juice. I'm only going to use 2 of these here. You should use 3 because I want to have 1 for garnish, and I'm almost out. So just kind of give them like a rough chop just to help out the food processor. And these have it's got onion, salt, mustard, and coriander seeds. So it's got a bunch of flavor inside, and it's also got those little cocktail onions. They're good in martinis if you're into that sort of thing. And 1 teaspoon of sugar, just regular white sugar. And that's the other reason I like these double-ended measuring things, because it's got an oblong and a round on each side. So this one's all wet with mustard, but I don't need to bother with that side for this. So that's all that goes into the filling. You're just going to process it until it's smooth, or if you're doing it in a bowl, just keep hitting it with your fork until all the lumps are out. And I guess if you were doing it in a bowl with a fork, you would need to mince the pickles so that they incorporate into more of the filling. All right, and then I like to scrape down the sides because sometimes, like you can see, there's some Greek yogurt that's sticking over there. You could use mayo too if you like. I originally did this for a yogurt brand, so, and I kind of like how it tastes without the mayo, though I do like mayo. All right, so once it's pretty smooth, I think this looks a little bit dry to me, so I'll show you what it looks like. Like you can see, it's kind of not super smooth, it's a little lumpy, so I'm just going to taste it to see if it's seasoned well, and then I'll probably add a little bit more, I'm just going to add a little bit more yogurt just to make it a little bit creamier. Got to go a little bit at a time, because if it's too runny, it won't hold its shape once it's piped or scooped. Okay, that looks better. When my grandma used to make deviled eggs, she never measured anything, so I had to kind of reverse engineer. So it's nice and smooth now, and it'll hold its shape when we put it into the shells. Shells? Whites. Yeah. Okay. Move this. So when you're low on space, it's nice to have things that kind of tuck away. All right, so there's a couple different ways that you can fill your deviled eggs. Any questions? I have those exact measuring spoons. Love them. Also love your apron. Thank you. This is a really old apron I have, and my Big Flavors one is currently in the washing machine because I have been doing a teenage cooking class at my local library. I've been helping some local kids learn how to cook, and we made snickerdoodles, and I had like flour and everything all over, and I have not yet had time to clean it. So I like this not just at Halloween. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple different ways to fill them. The first way would just be if you have one of these little scoops. This is, I use it for cookie dough. This is a number 50. That just has to do with the size. So, and it's got this little, you click it, and there's a thing that swipes across to release the filling. So you could take that and just pop it right on. And then you have this kind of nice heap of filling on there. So you can do that. You can use a regular spoon. Just get a little bit. It's kind of easier with 2 spoons. So you just get a little bit in the spoon, and then you kind of stick it into there. And a lot of times I'll fill them all, see if I have extra filling, and then I can go back and add more. Because as you can see, like, I did that one a little lower than the first one. You can pipe them, which is my favorite way to do it. The 2 types of tips I would recommend would either be one of these wide star tips that's got like a wider opening, because there's ones, let's see, ones like this are good for frosting a star tip, but it's so tiny on the inside that stuff is likely to get stuck, so that's why I like going with the wider one. Or a wide, just kind of round tip. They probably have numbers. I don't know. These ones came with this little OXO squeezy thing, and I like using this for, it's meant for baking, like for frosting, and I use it like when I'm decorating cupcakes and stuff, but it's great for deviled eggs. And if you don't have a piping thing like this, you can use a zip tie bag and just put this mixture inside the bag, kind of like a freezer bag would be good. So you fill it in here, kind of scooch it down, leave this open, scooch it down to make a piping bag and snip off the tip so that you have like a round area to pipe. And this thing, it's got a bunch of different tips that come with it, so you set that on there, and then there's a piece that you put over, you drop it first, then you put it on over the top, and then you just kind of squeeze it on, or turn it on to squeeze your filling without it spilling everywhere. So I like doing this, just kind of going in a circle. And that's usually how, like if you see pictures of deviled eggs on my website that I've made in the last few years, it's usually this thing that I used. So just kind of go and fill a couple. It goes really fast when you do it this way too. And then once it runs out, just add a little more. I'll do some with the other tip if you guys want also, just so you can see how it looks different. Hi, Trina. Okay, so I'll do some with the round tip. Take that one out. This set comes with 2 of the little squeezy containers, and so I usually, if I'm doing like a lot of cupcakes or something, I'll load up both of them and then just kind of switch the tips around. So this is the round one, and you would do the same thing, just kind of go in a circle like that. All right, so I think I'll fill the rest of these later so you guys don't have to sit and watch that, but you can see it goes pretty quick, like I've already filled 12 of them. So for garnishes, I like taking, well, you have to devil them first. I almost forgot to devil deviled eggs once, and I was like, that's the one thing that makes them deviled eggs, is a little sprinkle of paprika on top. And then I like doing some thin slices of these little cornichon pickles. Sometimes if I'm just doing regular deviled eggs, I'll take one of these pickles and slice it in half lengthwise and kind of perch that on top, and it looks really pretty. So I'll stick those in a couple. Okay. And then I picked up some, I didn't put the tarragon in, guys. All right. So when you're doing it in the food processor, I usually add some fresh tarragon. Only, let's see, 2 teaspoons. So not a ton, but I forgot it, but we'll fix that, kind of. Cut some up really finely, and I'll sprinkle it over some of them. Tarragon's a flavor I didn't like until fairly recently because it's licoricey, and I feel like licorice is a very divisive herb. It's very strong. Sorry, did I say licorice is an herb? Tarragon. So I didn't like anise, I didn't like tarragon, I didn't like fennel, but it's grown on me. All right, so just put a little bit of fresh, and who knows, maybe this will be even better. So some of them could just have that, some of them could have none. I guess this would be a good way to do it if you do have tarragon haters coming to wherever you're serving these. All right, and then I picked up some really pretty radishes yesterday. Just different colors. And make sure, I'm gonna wash these off because they're very gritty. Kind of giving them a light scrub with a brush. then I'm gonna dry them off. But like, isn't that pretty? I really like the French breakfast radishes when those come like to the farmer's market. They're those kind of longer ones. Oh, good, Sherry. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think. And if you make it, hop over to the recipe post and give it a rating. Even if you don't like it, I'd love to hear what you think. So, got these. I'm just going to take the ends off and then do some real thin slices. Use this bigger knife, I think. So radishes are kind of peppery, so sometimes it's nice to go pretty thin with them, but so you got like the 3 different colors here. And then I'm just gonna pop those in the tops of some. And then again, the last thing that I think makes these look really pretty and kind of spring-like is a little bit of fresh pea shoots, or today I have watercress because there was no pea shoots. Any sprouts would be nice, but I kind of like how the bigger, slightly bigger leaves. This is watercress. So it's just these kind of dainty little leaves. You could also use baby arugula. You might want to like cut it down a little bit if you're using that, because that can tend to be big. So then I'll just kind of shove those in a little bit. If they have a stem that you can use to poke, it makes it a little easier. All right, and this is a pretty large one. That's actually kind of ridiculous. Take that one out. So there you go. They look really pretty. They're festive. They're very nice for spring. And they'll dress up at any platter that you put them on. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you next week. Bye.